coming back to school with me. We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson Wood. I'm the board game teacher. Thanks for coming to the classroom. Today I am taking a look at one of my favorite games actually, which is Super Dungeon Explore. But remember, I only like Super Dungeon Explore with the Lootimeter Mode, which is a rule set that myself and some other people came up with. But now, I'd already done a video on the Super Dungeon Explorer in the Classic mode, and in Classic it is all versus one, where players each take a hero, and then one player controls all of the monsters. So all the players face off against the one player who's trying to take them out with the monsters. In this mode, I was asked by a viewer, Theodore Thiero, apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, but Theodore had asked me to do a video explaining how to adapt the Lootimeter to arcade mode. Now the difference is with arcade mode is that it's fully cooperative. So if you're playing with young kids especially, this is a great way where you can all play together on the same team, working together to beat the game, and therefore don't have to worry about upsetting somebody if you kill off their hero. So let me show you how we play Super Dungeon Explorer Lootimeter Mode Arcade. So in making this video, I'm going to do this video now on the understanding that you, the viewer, already know about Super Dungeon Explorer Arcade Mode, as was written by Ninja Division and Soda Pop Miniatures. I'm not going to go into a full explanation of how the Explorer cards work, how the gangs work, how the unique actions work, all of those things. All I'm going to focus on in this video is how to modify that for a game of Super Dungeon Explorer Arcade Mode in the Lootimeter style. So if you, the viewer, want me to do a more comprehensive video where I can add to this video with a full rules explanation of everything that's in the game, including all of the pre-existing material, then I can do so. But for now, I thought it might be better just to show how the Lootimeter sort of merges into arcade style. Because if you have the arcade mode rulebook, you have the knowledge, you have the access to a lot of how these things work anyways. But again, if you want me to, by all means, I could. Just leave me a message in the comment section below. So let's look at basic actions that will be available to heroes in the Super Dungeon Explorer Arcade. The first one is attack. The heroes can attack either with melee weapons, with missile weapons, or with magic weapons. So heroes can also disarm traps, because on some of the Explore cards, which will be seated in the loot deck, they will be these traps that will need to be disarmed by the heroes. So disarming traps, they have the thing here showing it's a dex test to disarm a trap, and they show the difficulty printed right on the card. So that is disarming traps. And then opening the chests. Open chest will just be a basic action. You walk over, you open up the chest, and you find out what's inside. So those are your actions: attack, disarm traps, open chest, or running, where you can move 2 extra steps for 1 action. So getting down to the setup for arcade mode, arcade mode is going to set up very similarly to the regular Lootimeter mode. So to that end, you're going to get all your cards out. You're going to need your loot cards, your treasure cards, your explore cards, obviously your hero cards, and your treasure cards. Now, what we'll do quickly is I'll just set up again the Lootimeter deck as we've done it before. So if you haven't seen Lootimeter mode, what you're doing is you take your loot cards, and this is going to form your timer, and you're going to make a deck of 16 cards, or 2 decks of 16 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's my first deck, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that's my second deck. When the first deck runs out, that's when the mini-boss appears. When the second deck runs out, that's when the boss appears. So there's pressure on the heroes to try to make sure that they have eliminated all of the spawn points before the second deck runs out and the boss appears, because if they don't, that means the boss is going to be extra powerful. Now, one thing I like to do with Lootimeter mode is to spawn it, or to seed it rather, with the Explore cards. Because the Explore cards did a couple of things. One, they added some flavor to the dungeon. Also, they made it that you could introduce the creeps, because some of the Explore cards would have a number at the top which would show how many creeps would spawn when the card was revealed. And without that, the creeps pretty much never show up. So this way I could include some of those creep models, which I really do love a lot. So in this then, what I do to make it more thematic is I take all of the cards which are specific to the boss. In this case, I'm going to play Von Drac because I also want to show how a shape-shifting boss would work in the case of Lootimeter Mode arcade style, because there's a special way that shape-shifting bosses will change their form. So with the 12 cards, there's 12 Explore cards with the Von Drac face on them, and I'm going to take those, and I'm going to take 6 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to take 6 of the regular cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. I shuffle those up. Give those a good shuffle. Whoops. And that's good enough. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put one down, put an Explore card on top of that. Then I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards on top of that, and put another Explore card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one more Explore card. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that completes. That will be my first deck in my Lootimeter Mode. So in the first deck, the Explore cards don't happen as often, but as the second deck comes, it's going to ramp up and get more dangerous. So we're going to put one card down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, and 3. So that'll be my second deck. And just to denote that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 there and 2 there, so that way I don't forget which deck is which. If I ever do forget though, it'd just be a simple case of seeing, do the cards happen every 3 or every 5, and that'll tell me which one's which. On to the Explore cards. Now with the Explore cards, you're going to look through the cards and you're going to be removing the ones that say grind. There's 2 that say grind, 6 that say respawn, and 1 that says exploit. And you're going to remove those from the deck because they are specific ones about spawning, and spawning will happen differently in the Lootimeter Mode arcade than it would in a normal game of arcade. So just remove those from the deck, and the other cards are the ones that you will be keeping. Okay, so I'll just have that at the bottom of the screen. Once again, it's the 6 times respawn, 2 times grind, and 1 times exploit. Remove those from the deck. Then, for the treasure cards, again, I like to have the dungeon feeling like Von Drac's layers. So to that end, I take all the Von Drac treasures, and there's 5 of them here. Then I'm going to add 5 more, 2, 3, 4, 5 treasures on top of that. And then the different booties, the grinding, the bouncing, and the bitey, I'm going to shuffle those up and add 2 of those to the deck, and then shuffle those up, and that will be my dungeon deck for this. So there's again a high probability of seeing some Von Drac flavored things in here. If you just put all those Von Dracs in the giant treasure pile, there's a good chance you're not going to see anything Von Drac specific, which to me is a bit of a shame. It's a lost opportunity for some theme, and I'm all about theme in my games. Then you're going to need hero cards. So in this game, for now I'm just showing you how to set up the game, but I do plan to do a playthrough video later showing how, doing a full playthrough of the Lootimeter Mode Explore. So I will play this game, in fact. And so I'm going to be taking the Sister of Light, the Tusk Raider, and Nyan Nyan. I took the for my justification for these models, took the Sister of Light because she's a good healer, but she's also holy, which against undead and things is a great choice. Tusk Raider because I got the model and I just think he's so cool. I just love this model. And then Yan Yan just happens to be one of my favorite models in the game, so I just thought I'd include her too. But also because the Sister of Light, her main stat is the will. Tusk Raider, his main stat is strength, and Yan Yan, her main stat is dex. So again, they're not going to be fighting over treasures as much because they're not. They're looking for different things. Finally, make sure you have on hand the cards for reference for Wrath, and if you choose to use it, the Mighty Monsters. So those can be included with you. Once you have that, just select your armies that you're going to be using, the monsters, the spawn points, and everything. And remember that it's going to be the same thing where you're going to have the tiles. You're going to have one tile for each hero. So in this case, there's going to be 3 tiles to the game. In every tile, there will be 1 chest, and for every tile there will also be 1 spawn point. So in this game I'm going to have the paired spawning point of the shallow grave and then the pumpkin patch to go for that really big undead theme. For the mini boss, I'm including the Death Spectre. Now one thing I like to do with the mini bosses as well is instead of shuffling his treasure into the pile, it makes more sense to me that when you kill him, you would take his weapon. So when you kill the Death Spectre, the automatic treasure drop will be his Death Scythe. Again, more thematic to me. So gather all your things together and get ready to play. One quick thing I want to say, just in terms of playing the game, sometimes it could be a bit of a bear to set up because there's a lot of components. So doing things like this, where I found this pillbox in the dollar store, and I keep all my status token effects in here. So that's really helpful to set things up. And also for all my spawn points and things, I keep them all in these card sleeves, and it makes it much easier to find things for when I'm setting up. So reduction of setup time is really key to getting down and enjoying the game and playing rather than spending lots of time setting up. All right, so let me show you how the game sets up on the actual board. Okay, so here's the board all set up now for the game that will be taking place. I have the 3 tiles laid out, and in keeping with theme again, I like to have boards that represent what the heroes might be doing. So starting off in the gardens, working their way towards the house, and then finally into the house for the final battle. That's at least my spin on this one anyway. So I have all my spawn points all laid out here now with their cards. I've even taken the liberty right now of grouping my models into the gangs that they will be forming when they come to the table. That will help me to also know how to put them on the table when I start spawning them. Now, once you have the boards laid out, what you should do for each of them is roll 1 green dice for each of the boards, and the number of stars will tell you how many times to rotate it clockwise. That way you can't, totally control all the aspects of where you're going to. So with this one, we're going to rotate it once 90 degrees, like so. This one, rotate twice, so 1, 2, that way. And then this one here will go 1, 2. All right, like that. And that is the boards set up. And as you are, once this is all set up, now what you're going to do is you're going to put the spawn points on first. So in the spawn points then, with this I have 1 paired spawn point, so 2 spawn points for the 1 shallow grave thing here, and then the pumpkin patch. I generally like to have the paired spawn points spread out. So now what you're looking for is this symbol down here. It's a circle with this, looks like a jack-o'-lantern face. So I'm going to put this one there, and that's where the spawn points must go. And then on this one here, this one is here. You know what? I'll do it a little bit differently. Nah, I'll do that. So then the pumpkin patch will go here, and then finally the last shallow grave goes here. Once that is done, then you're going to spawn the gangs onto the table. So you're going to then spawn 1 gang. You're going to try to split the gangs up as much as you can. So with the case here, with the paired spawn point, there's 3 gangs, and they're going to be spread between the 2 spawn points. Their rule is that they want to be, they have to be within 2 spaces of the spawn point, but they don't want to be adjacent to the spawn point or to each other, and they shouldn't be in terrain that's going to be dangerous to them. So I couldn't spawn them into this poisonous brambles here. That would be harmful to them, so they can't do that. Whereas somebody like the spider wouldn't mind, because the spider is actually sure-footed, so it doesn't take penalties from that kind of stuff. Alright, so let me fast forward you through this as I set up the spawn points. Okay, so as I set up here, this game is a little tricky to set up because there are so many within the game. You have the Dust Necromancer and then the 6 Boneheads. With the tile the way it was, this space, nothing could be placed there, nothing could be placed in these spots because it's dangerous to them. It turned out that I had to place a couple adjacent to each other, so where possible then, to be fair, I placed like minions next to minions, not next to the spawn point. Even though the minion is next to the spawn point here, there's a wall between them, so it's not like an area of effect attack is going to hurt them, and that's really the consideration, is that you just don't want to make it so easy that you're going to take everything out in one area of effect attack. That's why they make that rule. So once the spawn points are placed, then you're going to put the chests within 5 of each spawn point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So put one there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe one right there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here. All right. So we put the chests down. Now within 2 spaces of one of the openings, we're going to put the heroes. So if I go here, I'm going to have to fight my way around a long way to get to that thing. So I think we'll be smart enough to start there, put our spawn point there, and then the heroes are going to get to add themselves to the board. So adjacent to or on that point. So we'll put that one there, we'll put her there, and we'll put maybe Nyan Nyan over here. Well, you know what? The Sister of Light has a. She doesn't have any ranged attacks, so that's what we're missing here. We're missing ranged attacks. Oh well, we'll have to make do best we got. All right, so yeah, we'll just do it like that. All right, and that will be our setup. So now that everything is set up, let me walk you through a turn of the game to show you how it would be played and how this all works out. So in Super Dungeon Explore Arcade Mode, the win conditions are the exact same as the Classic Mode. You have to kill the dungeon boss. The way of losing is also exactly the same. The heroes die, and you don't have a princess coin left to revive them. Remember that the heroes are going to start with 1 princess coin for each of the heroes that they have. So in this case, 3 heroes, I have 3 princess coins. And if at any point a hero dies, they will be revived by a princess coin at the end of the turn. If they don't have a princess coin left in the backpack, that signals the immediate loss of the hero. So in this way, it's really great because it mitigates that whole problem that the game had before with player elimination. Now, players are in the game until the very end. They either win together or they lose together, all at the same time. So in the Super Dungeon Explorer Lootimeter Mode, you're going to have 1 hero start, and then you're going to choose another hero to join them on that turn. So I've chosen the order of being Nyan Nyan, Tusk Raider, Sister of Light. So Nyan Nyan is going to start things off, and she knows that the important thing to always do in any game of Super Dungeon Explorer at Lootimeter Mode is to destroy the spawn points. Destroying the spawn points is the #1 priority. So she's got a movement of 7. So she's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's going to come right into there, and she's going to attack that spawn point. And so the spawn points, as always, it's an armor of 1. So she just has to roll 2 or higher on her attack. Let's just say, for argument's sake, she only does 2 wounds to the spawn point. So that would be it for her. She's done her turn. Now she would choose one of the other 2 players to go. Maybe she chooses the Sister of Light. So the Sister of Light has a movement of 6. So she goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So with 6 movement now, the Sister of Light is now going to perform, let's say, her Judgment attack, which is cross 4 and casts a Hex. So with cross 4, she's going to hit this one, so it's in a cross shape. So let's say she kills this one. Now to kill these guys, they're not going to roll defense anymore. What's going to happen, the Necromancer has an armor of 2, the Bonehead has an armor straight up of 1. So she just has to roll 2 or higher to kill a Bonehead, 3 or higher to kill or to hurt the Necromancer. So let's say she fails to kill this Bonehead, but then does wound the Necromancer. The Necromancer, because it is within 2 of a bonded minion, and this is where the gangs are important in arcade mode, it's within 2 of this bonded minion, so the bonded minion would take the wound instead of the Necromancer. So the bonded minion would come there, the Necromancer then doesn't take a wound. And that would then, maybe she does something else, and that would then end her turn. So now what has happened is the Sister of Light has failed to kill the spawn point, but she has earned 2 items for her group, which is a Steel Sword plus 1 Strength and a Witch Rose plus 1 Will. So maybe we'll add those to her because she can use both those items. Now she has also gained 2 Wrath because she killed 2 minions, which means she has the most Wrath for this turn. And now that both heroes have gone, it is now going to be the monster's turn. The first thing you're going to do on a monster turn in Super Dungeon Mode Lootimeter Arcade is to spawn on the disturbed spawn points. For each disturbed spawn point, you're going to spawn either one complete gang or top up a gang that is incomplete. And you'll do whichever there is, whichever is will provide more monsters or more things. So if there's a completely wiped out gang, replace it. If there's a gang that needs things topped up, then top them up. But choose one or the other, and if there's more than one gang that needs a top up, choose which one needs more things topped up. But they're going to spawn within 2 of the spawn points still, so they may still take some time to get down to the rest of their gang. So in this case, there's only, these guys are all complete still, and there's only 2 models missing from here, so these things will just be spawned right back again to where they started, right to that spot there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to reveal the top of the arcade deck, and this is going to dictate what happens, what the monster's attacks are going to be, how are they moving, what are they doing. So in this case it says Griefer. Bully. All commands target the hero with the least wrath. Move 1 and fight 1. So with the least wrath then would be the Tusk Raider and Yan Yan. Even though Yan Yan did 2 wounds on the spawn point, she didn't kill it, so she technically doesn't have any wrath because she didn't destroy anything. So we're going to, I think what we'll do is we will maybe make the focus of all the attacks on the Tusk Raider, because this way what the Necromancer would really like to do is to get the gang all around her here, to get all these boneheads around her, because then that really provides a lot of protection for her. Besides which, these models can start to come in and possibly do some attacks against the Tusk Raider. So the Dusk Coven Necromancer then says here, you have a yellow banner and a red banner. The red banner shows if they have their minions with them, which the Necromancer will. So she can move 5, her minions can move 5, so she'll go, she wants to get within 3, so 3, 2, 1, 0. So she wants to come right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, not a problem. 5, 1, 2, 3, there. So she's up there. And these ones will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, down to there. Remember, they want to be within 2, so that way they are bonded minions of the Necromancer, but not adjacent, because they want to avoid making too easy with the area of effect attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, remember, the minions are not going to make their own attacks in arcade mode. It's only the elite of a gang that will attack. Now the spider is its own elite. There's no spider gang. It operates on its own. And in the case of the witches will attack, and the skullbats are there just to soak up those wounds and to provide support to the witches. So then the spider will move, and the spider has a movement of 6, and it has a range of 3. So 3, 2, 1, 0. Well, it will go here. Now, it will go adjacent to this bonehead simply because if it makes the difference between attacking and not attacking, it's going to choose to be able to attack. And then the witch moves. Okay, and then the witches have a movement of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a range of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 means it wouldn't be able to hit the Tusk Raider even if it went adjacent to the spider, so it won't go adjacent to the spider. It'll come down here, and then the skull bats are going to come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this witch will come 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll hold back here because it doesn't want to get adjacency. All right, and so then it's going to go on to the attacks. The boneheads add a bonus here of ghastly vigor that gives the Dust Coven +1 strength. So she's going to have a strength of 4 with 3 attacks. That's pretty vicious. And then the spider will have an attack of 3 with 2 attacks. So 3 attacks of 4 against the Tusk Raider. He has 2 red armor, and so that's 4. That's 1 save. No saves, that's a wound. And as before with Lootimeter Mode, when you take a wound, you lose a card, so they lose the silk gloves. That's 2 attacks. 3rd attack is another wound. Another card lost. There goes the Ogre Mace. And then that's 3. And then the 2 attacks from the spider at strength 3 is a save and a not save. So the Tusk Raider has gotten pretty beaten up on the first turn there before the poor guy even got to go. And away goes a card. And there is a lemon peel, +1 will, immunity to poison. And, oh, poison, that reminds me, the spider, so enervating bite and silk spinner, lance 6. So, yeah, couldn't do the lance attack because you can't do it diagonally, but the enervating bite does mean that the he would be getting a hex. So hexes are here. So I'll get my hex token out and put a hex onto the Tusk Raider. And that also means then that we have revealed our first Explorer card. So it's webs, and so I'd resolve the web card according to the thing here, and play would continue. So the next turn, the Tusk Raider, all beaten up, would start with his hex token and his 3 wounds. He's not going to have a very good turn, I'm afraid, but he's going to do his best. And then he's going to choose somebody else to go, maybe the Sister of Light, to help heal him back up again. And once the players have gone, the monsters go again, drawing another arcade card, back and forth, until you run out of the first deck of 16, in which case the Death Spectre shows up, and then you go to the second deck of 16. When that runs out, then Von Drac shows up. But again, if you kill the last spawn point before the second deck runs out, then Von Drac would appear immediately. And then the heroes have to kill Von Drac before they run out of princess coins. And that is how you play Super Dungeon Mode, some Super Dungeon Explorer Arcade Mode in the Lootimeter, or Lootimeter Mode Arcade. And that is how you play Super Dungeon Explorer Lootimeter Mode Arcade. Let me take you to my final conclusions. Well, this wraps it up for the Super Dungeon Explorer Lootimeter Arcade Mode. You may have noticed I've changed clothes. That's because as I went down to edit it today, I realized that I'd actually forgotten to film the conclusion. Well, I'm going to conclude it for you now. That wraps it up. I had a great time making the video, and I'm really looking forward to playing the arcade mode game and filming that to then show to you, the viewers, later. Again, if you have any questions about arcade mode or Lootimeter mode, I would suggest if you have a question about arcade mode, then look in the arcade mode rulebook. You're going to find that, again, most of the rules are from arcade mode are being used here. So if there's an arcade mode specific question, then you can probably look in here to reference it, particularly if it has something to do with how the cards are used and the symbols and such like that. If you have a question about Lootimeter mode, I will put a link in the comment section below so you can access that and see if you can answer your questions about Lootimeter there. But if you access both things and can't find your answer, then please, by all means, leave me a question in the comment section below, or you can email me at craig@theboardgameteacher.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. And if you have any other ideas for content you might like to see on the channel, be it games you might like to see a rules explanation for, a good rules video for, or if it's pedagogical ideas for games in the classroom or used for teaching, or if it's just any other ideas you might have, please just leave me a message in the comment section below. I do love to hear from the viewers. And that's going to wrap it up for today. Until next time, I'm Craig Thompson Wood, the Board Game Teacher, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school?